go your life now. So don't worry if you're not seeing me, you understand, but people are seeing you and they'll be hearing what you're saying, okay?
Okay, no problem.
No problem. Okay. So one of the things AGMA people are identifiable language. And your language tells you who you are. And in our language, in the whole of Igbo land, we know ihe na-akpọ alụ. And then ihe na-akpọ alụ ka eji wee nwe alụsị. N'ihe na-akpọ alụ ka eji wee nwe alụsị. And n'ihe aha na-akpọ alụ bụ ihe a na-asị n'Igbo na o nwere ihe ọ na-abụ mmadụ mee ọ bụla alụ. And gịnị kasị bụ alụ? Ihe bụ alụ bụ igbu mmadụ. Ihe bụ alụ bụ ite ime. Ihe bụ alụ bụ even ije nara mmadụ ihe n'ike, ma ije gburu ji mmadụ, ma ọ bụ izu ewu mmadụ, ma ọ bụ ije la nwunye mmadụ. All those things bụ alụ. So kedụzi ka ị ga-eji wee jiri mmadụ wee hibe alụ sị? Ịghọtago? Kedụzi ndị ọ dị n'asụsụ ha na igbu mmadụ bụ alụ? Asụsụ Igbo niile na be anyị igbu mmadụ bụ alụ. In fact, a ga-abanish gị na igbuo mmadụ. Ma igburu ya by knowingly or by this thing. Ọ bụrụ nke ọgụ, o nwere ka esi akwụ aka ọchụ na ọ bụrụ na gị na mmadụ maybe na intentional. Mana na ịkpacha anya ma ọ bụ jee nwee ihe imere wee gbuo mmadụ, alụ ka ọ bụ n'ala Igbo. Na itele ime, amalụ na ịdị ime, i wee tee ime, wepụ nwa dị n'afọ fetus ma ọ develop go ma ọ bụ na ọ develop be ha, alụ ka ọ bụ n'ala Igbo. Ka ezi ka onye Igbo ga-esi wee pụta wee sị na ndị Igbo na-eji mmadụ dị ndụ gbuo nnụnụ dị warawara ga-aba mmadụ, tinye mmadụ n'ime ya na ndụ. That okwu bụ alụ ka imelụ. I'm sorry, you may not like it, but okwu anyị kwuru bụ alụ ka imelụ n'ala Igbo. I'm telling you honestly. Whether me accept ya o, whether me accept ya o, alụ ka imelụ. By saying Igbo bụ without any substantiation, without any evidence, without anything. And then she said that nigga na so many alusi we gbuo na nige egwupụta ọkpụkpụ mmadụ. Does it mean that all the places in Egypt ebe a na-egwupụta ọkpụkpụ mmadụ, mummified the ọkpụkpụ mmadụ na alụsị dị ebe ahụ? Ije na so many burial ground ị ga-egwupụta ọkpụkpụ mmadụ. So anyway, it will benefit because Ugo send here your request again because I want to bring you in.
Okay.
I ga-akawa arụ na-ekode okwu anyị ekode because na anyị na-anya n'ala Igbo unu ga-afụ na ọ nwere mgbe ọ dị ka na-agba war between ndị ofe na ndị etiti against ndị Igbo. Nwere ife a na-eji ha anyị ekwu. Ịghọtago? So anyị bịazịa kwuo nke a kịta enwere ike were bụrụ afọ anyị kpagharịba. So ọnwa ihe ị nwere ikwu n'ime this thing ịmaga ama m na ị nwere a lot of things ị chọrọ ịkọwa, like you told me when we discussed the genesis of Alusi, what is Alusi, you understand, because we need to educate our people. So thank you so much. Go on.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Wait,
Yes, they can hear you.
I want a echo. Is it like an echo from your end?
No, it's okay. They can hear you very well.
Okay. So yeah, we sent on the video. I remember the first question in Ugoebenaja, this woman, is she a Christian? You understand? And it turns out that, she is. And the reason why that video is poisonous is because if we don't deal with the situation, right, what will happen is that because our people in the Bible are very gullible in a whole lot of things. They consider anything harmful on social media as facts. So they don't just they don't try and be like, oh, like where did you get this? Where did you get this information? Who told you this? How can we be able to verify this information? That's why, you know, when I saying, then the what that woman, because I think she said that, right?
Yeah.
Say something like,
from a royal family.
yeah, yeah. She said that this stuff also happens in Abeha, correct? So only the lead go see she needs to present the evidence of what she's talking about, because nobody need to, you know, akebeka okwono. So
yeah.
we know for a fact that this does not exist. This never existed. And when an Igbo ebe ji mmadụ were alụ alụsị, and when ebe na Igbo eji eme those things. But she stated those information, put out those information like as if they are facts. And if you even go, some people were like agreeing with her, right? You know, so this is why, you know, it's very important for us to discuss this issue, so that our people, and I don't mind if, you know, if someone decides to ask me, okay, whatever information I share here, can I bench you wanted the information, right? So it's not just so, because our people just don't our people need to real that now. Akebeka okwono. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, akebeka okwono. But our people just, you know, they just go by whatever anybody says. If somebody anybody can just pop out of anywhere and just create any kind of history, and then want everybody to believe that this has created so many confusions on social media. That's why, like, but both of them are not asking each other, like, want the information. How can we where is your source for this kind of information? You know, is there any way we can pinpoint and be like, okay, I have actually seen this kind of stuff, or because it actually happens in my place. You understand? But, you know, and a lot of our people do these things. They just come out on social media, just not pump out any kind of rubbish information, and people will just be eating it up, because our people are aware that evidence is more authentic than just word of mouth. This is one mantra, one message that I want to pass to our people, is that our people need to live that now. Evidence is more authentic than okwono, word of mouth, you know. So we can go off by, you know, if you have anything to ask me, and we can just go on from that.
Again, achọrọ m contribute, achọrọ m isi that na ụfọdụ n'ime ndị be anyị amụrụ that na what we call ndị Igbo today abụrụ one people.
That's a fact.
The people anyị na-akpọ ndị Igbo today, these 5 eastern states anyị na-akpọ ndị Igbo today abụrụ one people. Anyị ụfọdụ si different other places wee bịa n'ala Igbo, mana ha bụ ndị Igbo tata. Now that na something na-eme that na o nwere ihe maybe na o mere bụ unu does not mean na o mere be ndị ọzọ.
That's a fact. And evidence for it, I know equal now, right? It's the evidence is within our sayings, our philosophies, our proverbs.
Yeah.
Or the bende, and then ndị Igbo na-ekwu na ọdịbende, ndị Igbo na-ekwu na ihe ndị na-asọ ka ndị na-eri, ihe ndị na-eri ka ndị na-asọ. Ndị Igbo na-ekwu na, you know, na ọdịnala dị n'iche n'iche. So that's evidence. That's a primary source right there. The primary source is within the philosophies. So go on. I just wanted to give an example of like what we mean by, you know,
Yes.
evidence versus just somebody not currently on social media just saying whatever, you know.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm
So
hearing you.
now, Ugoebenaja, can you feel well about ihe bụ alụsị and
Okay.
ihe bụ alụsị before we gaba na ka esi wee hibe alụsị? Gịnị bụ alụsị in the first place?
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to present two sources for the information that I'm going to share. One is from our oral tradition from Bai, right? From Eziagi Igbo. And the other is from the books that I've read. Okay. So the two information synchronizes the two information because all these Igbo books that we have, right? When you reading them, you can even confirm many of those things in those books from the oral traditions that we have. So the word Aina Alusi Tata, the name Alushi, depending on the dialect, Alusi, you know, all of those words are not actually the original meaning. They are not the original. That word is not the original terminology. So that word traces back to an Alpha terminology, which is AKWU ULULU USHI or AKWU ULULU USHI, depending on the dialect. AKWU ULULU USHI, right? ESHI, USHI, USHI. These are like, this word is basically like, it is a lost word in Igbo lexicon. So
yeah,
the
if I should briefly come in, AKWU ULULU USHI or AKWU USHI or URURU, Alushi, Alusi, AKWU ULULU USHI.
So the AKWU ULULU USHI transitioned into AKWU ULULU USHI, AKWU ULULU USHI, Alusi. So you see how the words, there's a loss of, you know, the terminologies start to fade because Igbo is like Igbo did. So openly in Igbo, like also some words will be hidden. So like openly see chi uku, there's a difference between chi uku and chuku, right? Yeah. Because ejimwa wekwo chi uku, but chuku ekwumi also. So when you say there's that's why I always say that Igbo is a math language. So you have to break the word, you have to break it down, you have to break it into two, or most Igbo words they break into either 2 syllables or 3 syllables. So the word I am at today as Alose originated, it traces back to an Alpha term known as AKWU ULULU USHI. At some point, everyone right? It's all the same. It goes from AKWU ULULU USHI, then transitioned into ALUKWU. Then from that ALUKWU is where the word further transitioned into what we know today as Alusi. It like the terminology just kept on concealing, you know. So AKWU ULULU USHI. So and now that AKWU ULULU USHI or ULULU USHI is if we should translate it in English, just, you know, because it holds a lot of meanings, but if we should translate it in English in simple terms, it basically means a place for potency, a place for ancestral potency. Ululu is potency, which is Ike. Ushi is ancestor. AKWU is the location. So now, the word they transition into ARURU USHI. Okay, so that word ARURU in Igbo, in various Igbo clans and dialects, also transitioned into a place, a location. So this terminology is explaining ebe nu na anagbalu. Ebe obuna ndi Igbo hibila anu lo se be ebe nu na anagbala ndo. Ebe obuna, because if you notice, most of the Alusi Igbo, right, and Onoya the portal of it, or the mouth of it, is usually facing towards each dawn. Most people are marrying her. So most of the Alusi, especially the most authentic ones, but ebe nu na anagbalo. So ndị Igbo na-asị na inu na anagba agbara apụta, agbara being a deity.
Okay.
Right?
Let me briefly say something.
Okay.
Because could that be the reason why in my dialect where I came from, you see, when we even say Alusi, do you know that now where I come from, Alusi is even foreign to us. Alusi
right. And like I said,
ma spirit, more ma.
Right.
Okay.
And then ono is the portal, the location, the pinpoint. Yes. And it is usually, yeah, and it is usually towards the eastern part of any location, like the eastern side. These people don't understand how authentic this information is, because even if you look at all this religious systems of the world, respectfully, most of the religious systems of the world, whenever they are communing with their chi, their divinities, they're always facing the eastern part of any area, including like the respectfully the Muslim people. Okay, they're always facing the eastern part of, you know, wherever they are. They face the east, and then they start to commune with their divinity, right? So the Onoma is also another definition, you know, synchronizing with the fact that Alusi, the place, Alusi, the reason why I do, because Agbara bụ mmụọ tọrọ mmadụ. Agbara, which is divinity, is mmụọ tọrọ mmadụ. So I put ụwa. Mmadụ bụ ihe lụrụ Alusi. But ebe mmadụ lụrụ Alusi bụ ebe enu na ana Agbara, which is ebe afọ na enu na ana Agbara, and this location is sacred. This location is authentic. So it takes a Dibia to pinpoint the location, to identify the location. Ebeni enu na ana Agbara. And ebe enu na ana Agbara, bụ ebe ndị Igbo na-alụ Alusi. That's why we have this saying, no matter like when they destroy an Alusi, they'll say, oh, destroy an Alusi, that the energy is still there. The potency, the URURU is still in that location. Because humans are not the cause of right? We're not the cause of that. So we can, yeah, go ahead. Go.
All right. So now, what you said is that about the meaning of Alusi, Boebenu Nana Balo.
Ebenu Nana Balando.
Yeah, Boebenu Nana Balondo or Balo. Now, and then I also try to liken it to what my own people call Onoma, like Onuya, you know, a meeting point.
Right.
So now let's move on. Kedu ka esi ehibe Alusi? Kedu ihe nwere idea ịma ka esi ehibe Alusi? Today.
Yeah. Now the full information cannot be publicly explained, but the exoteric, the information that we can share in public is that which is no, the choose to be. Agbara is divinity. You know, things that we can use, you know, specific trees, specific water, specific soil in a location, you know, specific, you know. So now it takes a Dibia, which is a master of mystical knowledge, because another thing is this, people are more that electric is natural. Okay, so some of the ways ESHI mana you know, if you like, for example, okay, at least most of our people are we've been inside an Alusi before. So opening Batanima Alusi, it feels different from Batanime OKWU Mmuo, which is another terminology. It feels different than if you're like outside of there, you know,
Yeah.
right? It feels different. And the most sacred ones, it's chill. It's very chill, right? You can feel the energy over there. You'll be able to feel the energy. You feel, at least, if you don't know what you're feeling, you will at least feel the difference. So, first of all, we must establish that that is artificial. Okay, that is artificial. We don't use anything. So there's no such a, because even self, when our people go to war, when they come back, you don't after you go to war and come back, you don't just start walking around the whole village. You know, there's a specific kind of rituals that needs to be, done for you and within you, between your electromagnetic field, before you can be able to just move around the entire community. And that's why even in ancient time, we don't even like we usually just banish them out of the village for like, if this was also displayed in things fall apart, right? We banish them for a while in the village, or even depending on the level of the alo, some people get banished forever from the village. Some people get banished for maybe 7 years or more. But the whole idea of just like, for example, the way that confession, that man, no mel, that boy, I don't know if it's a boy or a man, that confession, what they did to that innocent woman, all these things are foreign. They are foreign to our culture. Okay, so then you start to bring different items and different things to make it sacred. So they use different things to make it sacred. So you don't actually make a location that is already sacred. It's just that you put different symbolisms to identify, to make everybody in the community to know that this place is sacred. And then they consult Afa to know exactly what is the name of this Agbara. So the Afa, so through the Afa that is conducted at that location, the more so most of these names all of this, names that we have as are based on the names more. So that's why they all, before they existed in normal Igbo, those names also existed in Afa, the names of those divinities, because it was through Afa that we were able to get the names of those divinities of So the decorations are there, and the decorations are but they are just a representation of symbolisms. So the Agbara anogolo, so Agbara bụ mmụọ tọrọ mmadụ. So the Alusi bụ a temple built around ebe enu na Agbara. So there's not like as if, oh, kedu ka esi alụ Alusi, or like how do we build it? There's no other authenticity to a location where ebe enu na Agbara, because the place is already sacred. So now,
okay,
go ahead.
I think what you're trying to say, some of the things BJ Hedika Japan, their temple, or Hedika China, Japanese temples, or Shinto temples, or Buddhist temples. How that place, a lot of natural, a different type of energy in that place. Then you see a lot of people will be coming from different world. Yakago na abịa na-ekiri ihe aha bịa ị ga-afụ a monk maybe onye ahụ nwere ike tụpụrụ in a position of like imago tụpụrụ like this with otu o si wee debe onwe ya. Now then people see from America, from Canada, from different places na aga ebe ahụ, we can ebe a the man emetụ ha aka n'isi or something, and we can have mmiri si somewhere na agbatu ha ekuru mmiri nakwa and all that. So what I'm trying to say is that now what you in Akowa, they can the same not the same type of temple like shrine, what we call shrine in those days.
Shrine Alusi. Alusi is just the word for shrine, but because Igbo had just or something, oh, just this is place shrine. So we the name is the name of what we call those places are. What we call those places are basically a representation of the function of those places. So we call it AKWU ULULU USHI.
AKWU ULULU USHI. Now, do you think that there will be a deity between this thing now and Alusi and because, like I said, in the Bible, Onuma, then there will some people not be OKWU Mmuo or Mmuo man. In the Bible, Mmuo. Or when they not be OKWU Mmuo, then Alusi. So, do you think normally a deity between OKWU Mmuo and Onoma and Alusi?
The difference is just dialect. It just the way, because or the bending, okay, Igbo is our culture is egalitarian. That's what most of what our people don't understand and don't teach. Oh, if come mother or just know but that's this is back man. And then you will see people commenting, they say, oh no, in my place we do it this way. Because Igbo is egalitarian. We are not we didn't have a system where we force everybody into one single and say, all of you guys, you have to follow this methodology, nothing else. We don't. Igbo is not dogma. Okay, so different Igbo communities. Igbo be a nation. Within that nation, I be a tribe. But what we are is actually a nation, and within our nation, different tribes. Even within the tribe, different clans. So, and because our culture is egalitarian, right? People, different locations say, okay, is the same thing. Okay, kai boya OKWU Mmuo. Ndị aka say kai boya Onoma, right? Ndị aka say kai boya Alusi, right? But that's why we say that Igbo na suno mahakwa okwara oburufu, right? So the names are all indicating that Alusi is a shrine. Okay, our people don't know this because they keep thinking that the reason why we synchronize Alusi with a deity is because of the fact that Alusi are built around where Agbara is. So I exchange with Agbara with Alusi, but
Agbara but more, right?
Right, Agbara but more. Okay, right. And Alusi is a shrine. Alusi is a shrine.
Alusi is a shrine built around where Agbara is, which is a Mmuo.
Yes.
Okay. So which means not because of the belief or the adherence our people will never more.
Right. The knowledge, the natural knowledge I will never more. Our advanced understanding of more.
That's how we create here OKWU Mmuo, Onoma, or Alusi.
Right.
Okay. So now, can you tell this notion or assertion that na-eji mmadụ when a hiba Alusi, does it not sound like something religious? Does it not sound like something that I read in the Bible? Ebe eji mmadụ wee chụọ aja ma ebe eji mmadụ wee chụọ aja or wee chọọ ịchụ aja. At least I can remember 2 places. Does it not sound like that? Because in my religion we kosiade, because to be honest, anọ m with ndị okenye. Onwere onye okenye gwalụ m na eji mmadụ wee hibe alụsị ma be nna m o ma ikwu nne m o. Onwere ndị okenye gwalụ m na eji mmadụ wee hibe alụsị. Nye ka m ji wee na-asị, ọ bụrụ na Donita underscore Nalita nwanne anyị nwanyị bụ be ha ka emerie, then ọ pụtakwuo ege na ọbe ha, because na ndị gboo na-abụ ha bịa ndị be anyị nwere ihe a na-akpọ ịba ndịma ma ọ bụ ịba mmụọ. Ịba mmụọ akọwalụ gị some certain things mee ihe na ịmago, kọwalụ gị ihe bụ achụkwu, kọwalụ gị ka achụkwu si eme, kọwalụ gị all those things. Ịghọtago? O nwere ka esi wee kọwa ma ọ bụ ka esi wee pass it down. Ọ dị generally acknowledged, ọ bụla general knowledge na eji mmadụ ehibe alụsị. Now, alụsị ahụ eji mmadụ hibe ma ọ bụrụ na ọsaịdị be ha ka emerie. Ọ kedu ndị merie, kedu mgbe emerie, which year? Ọ na 17th century ka ọ na 18th century ka ọ na 19th century ka ọ na 15th century? Kedu mgbe ehibe dị alụsị? Why again does it sound like something I read in the Bible? Ebe Jefta jiri abịa nwanyị wee chụọ aja n'elu, wee chụrụ aja n'elu altar. Go ahead, ma ọ bụ na onwe ihe chọrọ ikwu.
Imana, our people, you know, we are a colonized people, you know, and for example, Kedonya Biha Motal, that's our sister, Kedonya Motalia, and then Kedonya Motalonya Motalia. If you trace back her origin, her grandparents are Christians, her parents are Christian, and she's a Christian, so she doesn't really have any authentic knowledge about who she is, but she would think that she is. And many of our people, sometimes when they don't know that what they are saying is actually associated with the Bible, right? They don't know. So because we have an Igbo Bible, you know, so they don't understand that most of the things that they're saying is actually a tradition within a book that they read, and that tradition doesn't actually have anything to do with our tradition. That's why most of our people beyond ordinary Hanafo, they see certain things the same way they view it. For example, they even say the people that are not in ordinary, they see us as people that are worshiping Alusi, or people that are, you know, they always use the word worship, you know, and then they think that Alusi is an idol, you know. So, like I said, she is in the best position to explain where she got that information from, because she's the one that is making the claim. You understand? She is the one that made the claim. So she is in the best position. Ikowa able to wanted that information and where those things are happening. That's why I started this topic with evidence is more authentic than OKWU, right? It is very important for our people to understand this. You know, that evidence is more authentic than OKWU. Anybody can come and just say anything and claim that Igbo is this. Just like we have people in our land telling us that Igbo is from Israel, and literally wearing the symbol on their body, and literally renaming their things, you know, and claiming that we came from here. But there is no evidence. There is no authentic evidence. So based on OKWU, there is no authentic evidence. If you bring them in a debate platform, see, where is the evidence, the sources for this place you said that we came from? You know, when we look at the sources and look at the we look at the sources of where our ancestors told us that we came from, and look at the sources of where this specific group of people say that they came from, you see that the sources of where our ancestors told us that we came from is not only that it makes sense, it agrees with even science, you know. So that's our sister. Yeah, Nino Okolo. She's in the best position to present the evidence of Okulu. So we have already known. We know for a fact that Nino Okolo is synchronizing with Iedana, a book that she was raised. She was raised with this book. She was raised with the Bible. So, and she wouldn't even know. And either that or that normal, either that or normal, we're just not just to rubbish the name of the you know, because what's going on right now, a lot of our people are waking up, a lot of our people are realizing themselves, a lot of our people are getting self-knowledge. So this movement is damaging the movement of like as you know, they're feeling like in the Uka, they're feeling that now this ordinary thing is actually like spoiling markets for them, that we're ruining their business, you know, by our people choosing to, you know, to go back to their culture, to identify with their original self, you know.
Okay. You see, we are going to touch so many things. We are going to touch so many things. Yeah. Just like you said, she was the one who came out to claim that Nandi Igbo, Jimado, Nandi Igbo. In fact, this is actually this thing, Omelo, to be honest with you, we need mother arrest. Come and prove his West. The evidence again is West Nandi Igbo Jimado. Because so call everything. Also, no, you will okay, we won't no cheer. No, you can't Alusi nwoke. You will why won't no cheer. No, you can't Alusi why. You can go.
And if you look at some these things, you know, Okulu, the way she just said it, so she's looking at Alusi as a divinity. You see, which is the first thing on that is that she's claiming that this thing, when it is done, then that thing becomes the Alusi. You see? So, but she does not understand that now Alusi is not a divinity. This is what, even if you go to Wikipedia, you see that what Wikipedia will tell you, Alusi, because the people that wrote those Igbo Wikipedias are people that are Christians. They are not, you know, Igbo scholars. Most Igbo scholars are even Christians. So, from her explanation, she is claiming that Alusi is a divinity, but Alusi is not divinity. Alusi is a temple, a shrine in English, just because, you know, for lack of a better term, shrine, temple, you know, a sacred place built around Agbara, which is a mortal mother. Divinities are older than human beings in all mythologies, in all mystery traditions all over the world. Divinities are older than humans. Humans did not exist before trees and plants and all of these things. So Okulu is very ignorant because Alusi is not. Alusi is just. So are you saying that the stuff, the mother was used to build a temple? It just doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form. But
that is what she's trying to say, which means which means no mother ahụ dendo enwere tie n'ime onu nya bụzi dị Alusi.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense.
Ịbụrụ Alusi nwoke, ịbụrụ nwanyị, ịbụrụ Alusi nwanyị.
Yeah.
Because
she thinks that, because based on her limited knowledge, she thinks that Alusi is divinity, while Alusi is a house. A house is not a deity. Now, there was something I want to correct. There's someone that made a, not that I want to be reading comments. I just want to just correct this one, just this one. Somebody could now there are evidence of Mihana. Age mara chuaja na Igbo. what you need to understand is that the things I am explaining are based on the principles of the original. That's why the way I started explaining based on here behind our boy. This is what it is originally. You have to understand that here in we are in, and most Igbo people, we are in age of ignorance, age of wickedness, age of debauchery, all forms of evil. That's the age that we're in. So this Ogazi that we're in goes all the way back to like 3100 BCE. And most Igbo people can't even trace back their history going all the way back to like, most of them had Agafede colonization.
Now, what in trying to add to what you're saying, Ugo, somebody named, what we are discussing is not Meji Mada Achuaja.
Right.
Meji Mada Achuaja right now. Of course. As I'm talking to you now, people
even before the colonization,
yes, but that's not the point. I need discuss go to Alusi OKWU Mmuo. Now, but even at that, when you talk about Ichuaja, Mijimadu Chuaja, Mijuewu Chuaja, to me, see from Christianity Apota.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I saw it in the Bible. Yes. I saw Ebeji, Anu, Efi, Ram, Wala Chuaja na Bible. I also saw Ebeji Madu Chuaja na Bible. And if you are a Christian, have you ever addressed that? Have you ever asked your priest to which God in the Bible Keji this Madu Chuaja? Do you understand?
Yeah.
But no, somebody who is a Christian will not bother herself about the fact that normally about the recorded in the Bible that somebody used mother, where chuaja. Somebody used adayawai, where chuaja. To the God the God in the Christians in the Bible today. Now, I can get them Igor Bible again. Now, but you may claim now your ancestors in Amaro, Bulama, where will mad where he Alusi, in more evidence here. Even though if you ask me now, get evidence about what I'm saying about the Bible, I will show you evidence.
It's in the book. Right.
It's in the book. It's in the book. And it is also in the book. Hold on. It is also in that same book, the Bible, other people, other tribes, which were recorded in the Bible, like the Moabites, their children. In 2 Kings chapter 3, verse 27, the Bible recounts how the kings of Moab sacrificed his first son. You understand? Now, the record in the Bible. Now, but a Christian will tell you, but that is the Moabites, people who don't worship the God of Israel, who don't worship Jehovah, who don't worship Yahweh, who don't worship Elohim. Okay? But Elohim or Yahweh or Jehovah, who is the God of the Christians, was also sacrificed the mother by Jephthah. Jephthah sacrificed the mother at that one. So that same God, only Christian,
and this was written in a holy book, a sacred book.
Yeah.
Okay? Written in a sacred book. You know, it's just like when our people, some of the things our people in our church, well, I pinpoint. They will come and say, hey, bulejima. The particular time where they will be saying things like that, Mary Slessor, stop that particular time period. Getting here like in Europe and all over the world and in America during that time. Let's assume, it's an outlaw, which is actually, even if you notice the location, the woman abatted in an Igbo. But let's assume that now this is actually factual, right? Mado ejimo ne ka na amo like how because ejimo how we can we compare the how many ejima with how many alo and the havoc the Igbo man was committing all over the world at the same time period. The Igbo man was millions of people in that same time period. But you took their book, you took a book or a sacred book, you took a book that they gave you and called it a sacred book. So, and then you use that book to then accuse your people that Nahane Buejima. While that book, Bunde Burumado, like in millions, in millions. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at that time period, they were, because during the colonization of Africa, it was during the time when World War I and World War II took place. So what were they doing in the world during that time?
There is something I want to read here. Somebody was asking, did God, that's your neighbor, did God and the Christians and then a Bible or commanded elsewhere in the Bible? Did God command mother sacrifice to him elsewhere in the Bible? Somebody answered and said, yes, he did. The following come from King James. If you go to the book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 29, or see, now God commanded the Israelites to sacrifice to him their firstborn sons. And he reads, he says, thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of any liquor. The first of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. In Leviticus chapter 27, verse 28 to 29, God said that every devoted thing, both of man and beast, shall surely be put to on. You understand? So these guys were trying to hold on. In Numbers chapter 31, from 25 to 40, God commanded Moses, officers, to unalive Midianite male and non-virgins, but to keep the virgin females alive for themselves. So, ị ga na Bible, ị ga-afụ ebe Agbara na mmadụ ọfara adị nwanyị to God of the Bible. Fụkwa ebe the God of the Bible commanded ndị na-eso ya to offer firstborn sons to Nyawa and all the and other people. You have to hear me. So, in a street na-eji alụsị wee hibe ịbụrụ onye ụka, the person kwesịrị ikwu na-eji alụsị wee hibe na-eji mmadụ wee hibe alụsị ekwesịrị ịbụ onye ụka.
Exactly.
It should be a neutral person na-abụrụ onye ụka, because na Bible ịkpa n'aka iji wee na-eje ụka, iweta nnata gị ihe m ya egosi gị n'ime Bible gị ebe God ahụ ị na-ekpere ebe egwurie mmadụ. So ihe niile anyị na-ekwu dị ka ihe na-eme na book na akwụkwọ ahụ.
Right. Because it's from the book, it's from they synchronize the things in the book.
Yes, and then Igbo, n'okwu ọnụ anyị n'asụsụ Igbo anyị ma na anyị na-asị na igbu mmadụ bụ alụ, and the asụsụ is one of the things they identify people and their culture. Na igbu mmadụ bụ alụ, ite ime bụ alụ, ka ezi ka iji wee were mmadụ tie n'ime ọnụ were ihe alụsị amesi wee bụ alụ.
Exactly. And how can Kedekege Jilum Mado where he balose for a location where people come to express their innocence ebe mmadụ ga-abịa kwu na egbu nube mmadụ na eme ha alụ. So iji alụ iji alụ wee lụọ ihe bụ alụ for people to show up there to express innocence. Every mother na abia sinner because we have not explained here the function of an alusi. Was it important to our people? The function of it is for, you know, because of the fact that alo biabakaria nobodo. Alo biabakaria no ya village where because in order to prevent, the purpose of alusi is to prevent alo. The purpose of it is to prevent alo. And Igbo mother balo na Igbo.
Yes.
Igbo mother balo. So the purpose of it and all the other alo and the purpose of Ilo alusi, because the alusi, it serves like it's the original courtroom. The difference between alusi and the modern day courtroom is that alusi bebe and ekweziokwu ebe mara amantuwasi. A modern day courtroom bebe mmadụ ga-abịa jilasi to win a case. It's about who can ihe ngeji wee kpegbuo oge. It's about ikpegbu onye a ka mkpegbuo oge. It's either na ikpegbu
even in those days which I know, all those widows,
exactly. Right.
So much like that. Kedeka ihe bụ alụ bụ igbu mmadụ ka a ga-eji wee bụziri ya ka eji na-ehibezi alụsị.
Right.
And when somebody chọrọ ime address, don't forget ebe nọ ya. Also that na be ha na bụ onye ọgbarụ. And na be ha na-enwe history of iji mmadụ wee chụọ aja.
Yeah, that was what I wanted us to do. That was what I wanted us to address. That statement.
Yes, 1 million ọgbarụ. Anaghị m emelu gị argue. But ọ dịrọ be m enwero history ya na be m ebe nsi.
Right, because I will all depend on. Yes,
ihe ndị na-asọ ka ndị na-eri, and this thing na ha eme were ike ili guy one day unu ga-emegide anyị abatazia at the point ebe anyị ga-akọwa ka Igbo si wee bido, kedu ndị bịara abịa, kedu ebe ha si wee bịa, kedu culture ha bụ wee bịa n'ala Igbo, ha na practice n'ala Igbo, because na ha bụzi ndị Igbo na a na-practice ebe ha sizi anọ Igbo niile na practice ya.
And go ahead, go. The social media make the whole thing to look worse. So, Igbo culture is not it's not monotheistic or monotheism. It's not one. We are not following this one principle. That's why we have saying that this sayings is how we were able to come to the conclusion that our culture is egalitarian. Okay, so when they name certain things, and when specific community, specific clan, so and we can share here, and certain things how they display that other community will see as whoa, right?
Yeah.
You know, ni ano abalo na buy, right? Yeah, you name in our place, right? So, but you know, right? It is because we didn't come from from one source. We came from different places. Then we came together, Igbo, which is order. So we all came together to create what within that Igbo. People name, you know, as long as now whatever you're doing in your community is not affecting this other community. Okay, and at the same time, it's not so that we are so uniquely apart. It is more so that now, because even mother, like I won't be even Ghana Igbo, where they see Igbo mother as something that is good or something that should be done. So even though that we are uniquely apart, we still have in some of our culture, we have the same agreements in what we consider to be alo. We have the same different agreements, but some of them synchronize with each other and as like, okay, if just like I said, and one of the Igbo, ndị asị na, oh, Igbo mother, but a normal thing, no here easy. Because most of these things I now consider as alo, they're actually based on natural laws, which is right? That's what natural laws. Natural laws is basically like do unto others as you wish to be done unto yourself. You know, so that's why I want to be able for where they classically they consider Igbo mother as a normal culture for them. So most of the things in the Bible now, I don't even understand. For you to just write on social media, and the boon, mother, mother, like Emiha or and the boon, and do you have what if now? Consider no him the boon name. What if it's someone within your community? Lola. So Alulana and not was no him the boon name. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, yeah, that video didn't go down well with me. That video didn't go down well with me
too.
Yeah, because she was speaking as if she was there. She was speaking as if it was told him. She was speaking as if her own ancestors in their village or in their town were doing it. You understand? But like I'm saying, if that is what happened where you come from, I don't know where you come from, I don't know where you people come from, then that is not what happened to me. In fact, when I was growing up, I didn't even know about any other part of Igbo land. The Igbo I know was around my village and town and maybe neighboring towns. It was when I began to grow up to some level, I begin to know no forever na Anambra, no forever na Nka. My pelimpe, ihe anyị ma bụ na enwere ebe a na-akpọ Agba Enu. Ihe eji akpọkwanụ some people Agba Enu. Anyway,
it's not. It's not that different urban DC are all bad or like where you come from are all bad. It's just that we have different locations of where we came from. Okay, we have different places, even different people but our people need later that our culture is not we are not all following one principles. Okay, because there is no one way to write. Is not, there are different forms of things that we consider to be right, and there are different forms of if I go west and you go east, because we are actually not in a straight line. We are all going to probably we're most likely going to end up in the same place. Just because I went west and you went east doesn't mean that we won't be able to find ourselves in the south somehow. Because this is our most sacred symbol. This circle, the spiral, that is the most sacred symbol or the most common symbol in the Igbo. So we have to, our people need to be also careful to know how to differentiate Ordinana with Abrahamism, because they are not the same. Within the Bible, even that God in the Bible is not even in any way, shape, or form the same with Chukwu. They are not the same. The behavior is not the same. You know, and when you bear any Agbara send a specific clan, okay, I'm sending you all to write it in a book now.
Promising you a land of another people.
Yeah, so now, okay, I give you Ndiana, or where our people decide to go to war for a specific divinity. Okay, we are going to go fight for Equinsu, or we are going to go fight for Amadioha, we are going to go fight for Ajana. We don't fight for divinity. So there are our culture, our spirituality is extremely unique from Abrahamism. They are not the same in any way. Where they usually meet us, because is through their moral principles. Because those moral principles in there are they were stolen, they were copied from various cultures of the world. You know? Go ahead.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. You see, there's no how we can talk about these things, this Alusi, Ijima, the Iba Alusi, without talking about a religion or Christian religion. Is there anything you know or you want to tell our people about the esoteric meaning, the hidden meaning? You know, we've talked about this thing before, the hidden meaning of some of the things they read literally in the Bible, what it actually, the hidden secrets, the hidden answers behind those things.
Well, in connection to the topic, you know, the idea of Abraham, the Bible God telling Abraham to go and to take his son to go and the whole joke, you know, of, oh, Abraham, take your son. Then I don't know the name of the place. Yeah, for him to prove, you know, like that, because Bible is it's an allegory, it's an allegorical book. You know, for example, when they say in the Bible, when they say, let's go shoot a bull, you know, which is like Kanye, like or something like that, right? But in the literal, in what I'm trying to say, the concept of telling Abraham to take Isaac to go and perform this ritual is actually connected to the ancient Hebrew practices, because those ancient Israelites, there is actually a historical evidence that Nahamel a lot of human sacrifices. They did. Okay, so within that book, they sort of, you know, hinted at it. But just like that story with Abraham, right? So, oh, which is one of the most, if you're reading that verse, Abraham's Isaac, because he got to a point, it was Abraham erased the golden man before Siakose. You understand? It's Abraham erased the golden man before Siak, oh, you just around. So that whole entire story in the Bible is associated with a practice within the ancient Hebrews, what they were actually doing. Because there's actually, I can't remember the name of the book, but there is an evidence that those people from that time period, that they actually did a lot of human sacrifice, you know. And if I have to basically start to talk about the esoteric things of the Bible, we will basically drive off of the topic completely. We'll just drive off of. It's completely separate from the topic that we're addressing.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Yes. Anyway, well, I don't know if there is maybe an advice or any other thing you want to tell our people, most especially people who listen to some of these things on Facebook. Me, I would say, for the fact that somebody comes on Facebook and making an umbrella condemnation or umbrella claims that Nandi Igbo na-ejide nwoke dị ndụ, Nandi Igbo na-ejide nwoke dị ndụ gbuo onunu tie dị ya, ma ọ bụ jide nwaanyị dị ndụ gbuo onunu tie dị ya, wee sị na ihe a melụ na ide play the show n'ọkwa otu ahụ ka ọ dị n'ala Igbo niile, n'otu a ka ha si bikọsọ ihe o kwuru, n'otu a ka alụsị niile ọbụla dị n'ala Igbo, okay, n'otu a ka esi wee eme na alụsị niile dị n'ala Igbo. The fact that somebody na-ekwu ya does not make it to be true. And again, it also shows you that for that person to come out and begin to say that n'otu a ka alụsị niile dị n'ala Igbo ka esi wee hibe ya, shows you that she's coming from the side of defending his Christianity and demonizing Igbo tradition. So all these things are what our people should know, so that people shouldn't buy such nonsense when it is when they are watching it. So go ahead.
Well, the advice or the people is that for everybody, because our people need to realize that now evidence is more authentic than OKWU. Okay, evidence is more authentic than OKWU. It is every time you're watching a video, all this, because anybody can turn on the camera and start making all kinds of claims. And you also need to understand that when you make a claim, it is within that person to prove what they are saying, to present evidence of what they're saying. Evidence is more authentic than OKWU. Okay? Evidence is more authentic than OKWU. I keep saying it. Our people need to realize this. Another thing our people need to realize is that Igbo culture, our tradition, our system, or the way we do things is not all one. It's not one, and which is why somebody open a matter. You open Igbo in a video, you be on a video. When you turn on your camera to start saying something about Igbo, you should say Nabani. Our people in my place, we do this. Instead of Ibiaku, this is how Igbo people do things. You should say, in my place, where I came from within Igbo, this is how we do this. Because they don't usually like mention. They just say, oh, this is Otaka Ndi Igbo Sheme, or this is how we do. So they should say a specific place, Hashi, because within that video, the girl OKWU witness, she didn't just, and people will start to eat it up. They'll start to sink it within themselves and be like, oh, yeah, it's true, it's true. And because of the psychological war, the Christians will even promote that even more, because it doesn't put Ordinana in a good light. Okay? When they say that, and we are not even here. We are not even here to defend Ordinana, or that we're trying to, we're not like trying to say, oh, it's not true. Like I think we're hiding something. Okay? Only Igbo malo self-knowledge. Natural knowledge, man. Igbo mmadụ bụ n'ala Igbo.
Yeah.
Igbo mmadụ bụ so ọ na mmadụ na-abịa agwa gị na eji mmadụ alụ alụsị, that person should provide evidence of what they're talking about. Ihe melụ na that man, Ichie Million, what he did is something that is very, very foreign. Something that we do. Most of the stuff, it looks like Nollywood. It's, you know, because I went one video, I want somebody in Nollywood, right? You hear the sound when that man was just walking by, and the thing just looks like Nollywood in a way, because they want to Nollywood. Majority of them, like 99.9% of them, are not in the ordinary. So those people, they are not even in those things. Those films are not even in any way, shape, or form making our culture to look good. Not that we are. It's not that we are here to. Our culture, it's there on itself. Okay, and when like I said, only Igbo self-knowledge, only Igbo natural knowledge, only Igbo mali wana, mahal na Igbo mmadụ balo na Igbo. Or iji mmadụ where all these things, human sacrifice is alo na Igbo. Does it mean that na enwenu be ndị melie na Igbo na enweghị ndị na-eme those things? No. Okay? Just because na something balo does not mean enweghị ndị na-eme alo ahụ. That's why those people, that's why this Ezani that did this thing, Akutugonia, is in jail right now, right? Because even self in a normal, just because natural law is universal, right? So Igbo mmadụ is not seen as something, because only guy like if somebody saying that Igbo mmadụ is ezigbo ihe, so there's no way that is seen as something that is good in most aboriginal traditions of the world. Okay? Do I know those things? But right? Yeah. You know, so our people need that evidence is more authentic than word of mouth. Yeah. Because anybody can claim anything. Somebody can come and tell me now, URURU or URURUNABO or Nimelanka, because this is what they do on social media. Nimelanka, without no evidence, no nothing. And then people will just start to believe it as if it's true because they don't like you. They will start to say, oh yeah, it could be, yeah, it's him, yeah. Or even say, even if they don't say, they will just say, no, not the car. That someone that is doing that with no evidence, no nothing. And then they're wondering why, they keep getting locked up for, some like defamation or defamation of character. They keep getting locked up for defamation of character in Nigeria and stuff. It's because, like, I don't know, just because you have a social media account, you now know how to turn on a camera and record yourself to say something, doesn't mean you should start vomiting rubbish from your mouth. Okay? Again, OKWU is not authentic. AKWU is authentic. Evidence is more authentic than OKWU, word of mouth. Yeah.
Dalorin, thank you so much. I think we've really done justice. I don't know. Maybe some other time we would also need to come live together and discuss other things as it relates to Igbo tradition, like we've done before. I know that there was a time.
And Igbo tradition is not, it's not complicated. It's not like, because people, they make it seem like as if it's something mysterious and complicated. It's not that complicated. Look at the sayings. If you want to understand your culture, look at your philosophies. Ndị Igbo na-ekwu na eziokwu bụ ndụ na ojiofo ga-ana kwụwa aka gị ọtọ. People that are saying, have this kind of sayings are not people that venerate the concept of Igbo mother, Hiba Alusi and all this rubbish, like somebody they're gonna display on social media, and you know, it's not, yeah.
Okay, Ugo. Thank you so much, Motion. You know,
Yeah.
I'll let you go now, and then so until next time when we'll have the opportunity to come and do a joint program. Yeah.
All right. One, na sị na ka ọ gaziere anyị niile, ndị Igbo niile, ka ọ gaziere anyị niile na Eke, n'Orie, na Afọ, na Nkwọ, ise.
Ise. Mbọndalụ ya?
Yeah.
Okay.